Many businesses do not lose speed because they lack effort. They lose speed because information is scattered. A message lives in email. A detail lives in chat. A promise lives in someone's memory. A next step lives in a private note. A status update exists in one place, while the context that explains it exists somewhere else. From the outside, this fragmentation can look manageable. People are communicating. Tasks are moving. Conversations are happening. Some deals still progress. So it is easy to assume the business is functioning well enough. But scattered information creates a hidden cost. It slows decisions down, not because no one is working, but because no one is working from the exact same reality. That difference matters more than many businesses realize. When context is fragmented, every action becomes heavier. A person has to search before they can respond. A handoff requires explanation before it can continue. A follow-up depends on recovering details instead of moving the opportunity forward. This creates drag across the entire operation. And drag is dangerous because it rarely looks dramatic in the moment. It looks like delay. It looks like uncertainty. It looks like someone asking for context again. It looks like a lead waiting longer than necessary. It looks like work being repeated because the first version was never fully visible. Over time, these moments accumulate. The business becomes slower than it should be, not because demand is missing, but because information is too fragmented to support clean execution. This is why a single source of truth matters. Not as an organizational preference, not as a cosmetic improvement, not because neat systems feel professional. It matters because decisions need shared context. If different people hold different pieces of the same opportunity, then progress depends on coordination quality alone. And coordination without shared visibility is fragile. The more the business grows, the more fragile it becomes. More leads, more conversations, more follow-ups, more moving parts. Without one place where the relevant reality is visible, the business starts operating through reconstruction. Every person rebuilds the situation before they can act on it. That is wasted time, wasted attention, and in many cases, wasted revenue. Because when information is scattered, momentum weakens. The lead feels inconsistency. The team feels uncertainty. And the business mistakes friction for normality. But it is not normal. It is structural loss. And until that loss is reduced, growth will remain slower, heavier, and less reliable than it needs to be. The reason this problem persists is that fragmented information often feels acceptable while the business is still small. People can still ask each other. Someone still remembers what happened. A missing note can be recovered from memory. A delayed handoff can be repaired with one more message. Because the business continues operating, the structural weakness is rarely treated as urgent. But small recovery costs become large operating costs once volume increases. The same gap that feels manageable at low volume becomes expensive under pressure. A business does not need complete chaos to suffer from fragmented context. It only needs enough fragmentation that basic questions take too long to answer. What happened last? What the lead asked for? What was promised? What the next step is? Who owns it? How long it has been waiting? When those answers are not available immediately, the business starts paying in hesitation. And hesitation affects more than speed. It affects judgment. People make weaker decisions when they act with partial context. They follow up too early or too late. They repeat information the lead already shared. They miss signs of urgency. They fail to notice that an opportunity has stopped moving. This is why a single source of truth is not just about storing information. It is about protecting continuity. Continuity is what allows the business to move an opportunity forward without rebuilding the situation every time. When continuity is missing, the same lead can feel like a different case, depending on who is looking at it. One person sees a recent conversation, another sees an old status, another remembers a verbal update that was never documented properly. Now the business is no longer operating from shared reality. It is operating from overlapping interpretations. And overlapping interpretations always slow execution down. This becomes especially costly during handoffs. Handoffs are where weak structure becomes visible. A lead moves from one channel to another, from marketing to sales, from sales to operations, from one team member to another. Each transition increases the chance that context will degrade. If the essential information is not visible in one place, quality depends on how well people transfer knowledge manually. That is a fragile system. Even strong teams struggle with it over time, because manual transfer is never perfectly consistent. Details get shortened. Timing gets lost. Intent gets blurred. Commitments become unclear. And as this happens repeatedly, the business begins to normalize a dangerous pattern. It accepts rework as part of operations. Someone asks again. Someone explains again. Someone checks again. Someone recreates what should have already been visible. This is not harmless. It consumes attention that should have gone into progress. It also changes how the customer experiences the business. From the customer side, fragmentation feels like uncertainty. They may not know where the weakness is, but they feel it. They repeat themselves. They wait while the business reconnects details. They receive responses that do not fully reflect prior context. They sense that momentum depends more on individual effort than on a reliable process. Trust weakens in subtle ways before it breaks openly. That is why a single source of truth does more than organize work. It protects confidence. Not internal confidence alone, but external confidence. It helps the business appear coordinated because it actually is coordinated. So a strong system does not ask people to remember everything. It does not ask them to search across disconnected places before they can act. It makes the relevant reality visible enough that the next decision becomes lighter. That is the core value. Not more data, not more documentation, not more administrative behavior. Shared visibility. When the right context lives in one trusted place, response quality improves. Handoffs improve. Follow-up improves. And the business wastes less energy, recovering what it should have already known. This is why scattered information is not a minor inconvenience. It is an operational tax. And like every tax, it reduces what the business keeps from the effort it already produced. A single source of truth becomes valuable when it reduces the effort required to understand what is happening now. That is the real standard. Not whether information exists somewhere, but whether the business can act on reality without reconstructing it first. When the right context is visible in one trusted place, several things improve at once. Decisions become faster because people stop searching. Follow-up becomes stronger because the next action is easier to see. Handoffs become cleaner because context moves with the opportunity. And accountability becomes clearer because ownership is no longer hidden inside conversation threads, private notes, or memory. This is where shared visibility starts changing performance. Not by making the business look more organized, but by reducing friction at the exact points where momentum is usually lost. Without a trusted source of truth, the business keeps paying for the same weakness. It pays in delay. It pays in duplicated effort. It pays in lower confidence. And very often, it pays in lost opportunities that should have moved forward. When information is centralized well, those losses begin to shrink. The business becomes lighter to operate. Less energy is spent recovering context. More energy is available for progress. That is why a single source of truth is not an administrative layer. It is part of operational speed. And when operational speed improves, growth stops feeling heavier than it should.